whom should I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom should I be afraid? That when the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, scheme up upon me to eat up my flesh, they shall stumble and fall. Let us pray. Bow your heads with me. Eternal Heavenly Father, most graceful God in the heaven, God, we come before you one more time, God, just to say thank you for bringing us here in this place. And God, right now, we just give it all the honor and all the praise, God, what is due unto you. Because thy name is worthy to be praised. God, we ask you, God, to bless this house this morning, God. Bless the Prime Minister, the opposition, the Speaker, God, and every member of Parliament, God. Touch them right now in the name of Jesus and our Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Lord. God, we ask you, God, that we will do everything in this house, God, in decency and order. We come against everything, God, what don't look like you in the name of Jesus. Oh, how sweet the name of Jesus sound. And every believer said, God, you soothe our sorrow and you drive away all our fear. God, we thank you for this day. We give you all the praise and all the glory, God. Intervene upon us right now. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. And thou hast taught us to say, God in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and your glory, forever and ever. Amen. Let all God people say, amen.
Honorable members, when the business of this House was suspended on Monday, we were debating the resolution thanking the Governor General for his speech at the opening of Parliament. I presume we are ready to continue. As many, the Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Ingliston.
Madam Speaker, I am privileged to stand once more in this honorable House on behalf of the bold, brilliant, and beautiful people of Ingliston to contribute to this resolution, thanking the Governor General for the speech from the throne. I am grateful to God that I have in my lifetime been given this honor of service to so good a people and so great a nation, and for a time such as this. I pray that in all that I do, I will never let them down. Madam Speaker, the Bahamas has faced many trials and tribulations, challenges and setbacks over the last 2 or more decades. We have taken many blows and assaults over these years. These include a succession of natural disasters in the form of violent hurricanes, many of which have left in their wake massive destruction throughout our archipelago. But it was only recently that our country encountered a hurricane by the name of Dorian, the mother of all hurricanes, which manifested in a manner beyond our wildest imaginations, killing so many people and wreaking such immense physical damage and devastation, inflicting such tremendous economic loss, and taking such a high emotional and psychological toll on our entire nation. And then came the blows of the economic recessions and depressions and the many blacklistings, which, because of the acute vulnerabilities of our economy, have knocked us flat and brought great hardship upon us. And now we have the coronavirus pandemic, which at its onset was beyond our understanding. Very few of us imagined that almost 2 years later, we would still be tackling this phenomenon, which has caused such widespread sickness, suffering, sadness, loss, and death. These successive and cumulative events have jarred our consciousness and upset our collective equilibrium. Many Bahamians have found themselves in circumstances of which they never dreamed, not even in their worst nightmares. This has been an incredibly hard and painful time for many. Today, as a consequence of these external events, and largely because of a myriad of poor decisions and very bad policies, our country has become saddled with heavy debt and a struggling economy, weakened by an overburdened healthcare system, grossly disadvantaged by an educational system that has compromised our competitiveness, plagued by financial pressures, with many falling into homelessness and poverty, and victimized by high levels of violence. No government worth its salt can look at all of this and then seek to engage in business as usual. As a people, we must speak truth to ourselves so that we can realistically confront and correct our failings, which are running interference in the full realization of our greatness. This progressive Liberal Party administration is tasked today with honestly facing these challenges and charting a new way to a new day. But we can only do so by having the courage and the ingenuity to break away from this worn and deficient path. We can only do so by looking truthfully and critically at our national condition and boldly pursuing an enlightened and humane path that honors our environment, builds resiliency, invests in the raising up of our people, and eradicates the stubborn inequities which have pervaded our social and economic life. It is long overdue. We need a new day. We need inspired policies. We long for a visionary agenda. Our people expect and demand that this land of ours provides fair opportunities to yield up prosperity, to engineer progress, and to promote hope. We believe that this country should be the finest little country on the face of the earth. This means we must break away from the old narratives and escape the stale pursuits that some of our political leaders have sought to inculcate in our consciousness and engender in our national life. These old narratives have perpetuated ugly division, imbued with devious subliminal messaging, particularly as it relates to the revolution of 1967 and how Bahamians should see themselves. The member for Kalani has in recent years been disappointing for having led the charge in this. Yes. And he has done his ancestors a great disservice. Yes. And betrayed the value of the struggle of the Bahamian people and discounted the cost of the sacrifice. These narratives and subliminal messaging justify or rationalize perverse policies that favor the foreign over our own and reward the wealthiest amongst us while simultaneously burdening the poorest. They have resulted in a regressive tax system and widespread inequity in just about every area of our society. Adding insult to the deep injuries have been the series of catchy gimmicks intended to bedazzle, whilst in no shape or form advancing the true interests of the Bahamian people. Toothless initiatives that promise advancement for the common folk, but never deliver as promised. The people of Angleston are truly disappointed that the Minister administration decided to give away our premier cruise port facility, one of the busiest in the world, to a foreign entity, no matter how they sought to pretty it up. They are ashamed that the Minister administration tried to transfer our historic assets, the forts, the 66 steps and the likes, which is the patrimony of all of the Bahamian people, to a group of its close associates and political allies and cronies. They are disgusted that legislation was passed in the form of the Commercial Enterprises Act, which brazenly undermined the right of Bahamian workers to access opportunity in their own land. They are hurt. People of Angleston are hurt that the Minister administration engineered the ravaging and destruction of the Churchill building, which had modern historic value as the place that housed the first cabinet in a post-1967 Bahamas, a place where the meeting of minds led to the most rapid, progressive, and empowering policies for the liberation of a previously oppressed people. Go and look out there now. That is the business of a minister's administration. The people of Angleston are disappointed that more effort was put into dividing our nation than nurturing unity and love in this family of islands. Madam Speaker, but God has given us an opportunity for a new day. In this new day, the Bahamas must see fundamental reform, inspired policies for our people to come to their own in the fullness of the sun. And so we have not been elected to assume the role of managers of a deficient status quo or tinkerers of things as they are. The situation is too dire and the circumstances too egregious, the time too overdue, and the opportunity too great to sacrifice it on the altar of mediocrity and business as usual. We have been given the sacred task at a time such as this to bring about the redemption of the Bahamian people. Yes. To overcome, we must bring a progressive health policy which ensures that people who face the need for life-saving medical treatment or medication do not die for lack of resources, that our clinics and hospitals become centers of excellence in the delivery of health care, and a singular focus is brought to bear on the promotion of wellness and the attainment of premium health for physically strong and mentally healthy people. To overcome our challenges and setbacks, we must see an education policy which empowers, stimulates, and refines the genius of our Bahamian children, including those of differing abilities. To overcome, we must implement economic policies that are sustainable and fair, and which promote equity and ensure that our people are the subject for all plans of prosperity, progress, and wealth, and not the objects to be exploited and marginalized. To overcome, we must see a land policy which is founded upon an understanding and an appreciation that our land is a precious commodity of finite quantity and must be protected for generations yet unborn through sound land use policies and rules which guard or monitor closely the alienation of our land to foreign persons. To overcome, we must see the implementation of policy that seriously and unrelentingly takes our nation towards food security in agriculture, fisheries, and mariculture. To overcome, we need a culture policy that mandates investment in the development and preservation of our indigenous music, our dance, performing arts, film, so as to open the window to unleash the rich and beautiful and powerful cultural inheritance that is the Bahamas. To overcome, we must see policies that alleviate the pain, suffering, and misery of the most vulnerable amongst us and uplift the weakest amongst us. In this redemption process, we must implement policies and actions that promote equity in development and the allocation of resources fairly throughout our island communities. Madam Speaker, we have our work cut out for us, and we did not come to play. In this great undertaking and in this collective understanding, I have been assigned the awesome task of overseeing education in the Bahamas. Education is often described as the great equalizer because good quality education greatly evens the playground in access to opportunity for our children. Our public education system is oftentimes the object of the dismay and anxiety of the Bahamian people. Let's get real about it. Especially so when we learn of the worrying graduation rate, the grade averages for national examinations, and there are many reports, surveys, and public commentaries that speak to a skills deficit in our country and which tie in to lost opportunity for our young people. In this new day, We must look at our educational system with honest eyes. While we acknowledge the noble efforts of stakeholders, we must conclude that major reforms must come. I had the opportunity to go back and look at the envisioning of education for the Bahamian people in a post-independent Bahamas almost 50 years ago. I was amazed at how modern and insightful the positions were even by today's standards. Please permit me, Madam Speaker, a liberal reference to this document, which is titled Focus on the Future, the White Paper on Education, 1972, probably written in that very building which has been raised by the Minnis administration. The policy paper was prepared in the lead up to and preparation for national independence and is founded upon a fundamental precept, namely, and I quote, that the people of the Bahamas are and must continue to be its most treasured asset. In that policy paper, it was envisioned that public schools would include the introduction, and I quote, of every young citizen to the tools and mechanics inherent in a civilized community, and to help him to acquire the knowledge, skills, habits, attitudes, beliefs, and values that enhance the human race and give strength and life to a Bahamian society. Madam Speaker, if our educational system does not train and prepare our youth population for our national development, for the enhancement of the human race, and give strength and life to Bahamian society, we will have severely undermined the development of each child's potential and the future prospects of our country, both economically and socially. A good quality educational system which is relevant and progressive is the key to our national development and is critically important to the realization of each child's potential. This is not an overstatement. And as Minister of Education, I want to see our public schools as amongst the premier learning institutions in the nation, not the second best. Effectively closing the gap in education between those privileged enough to attend a private school and our public school students. This will not happen through wishing, because I could wish and wish. Much work must be done at all levels and in all spheres. It will require the commitment and resources and the full cooperation of all stakeholders. It is a difficult and complex undertaking. It may take years, but the work must begin. We must first and foremost ensure that all strategies and decision-making in the science and art of education, administration, instruction, and inspired learning is goal-oriented and data-driven. In this regard, the ministry is now preparing to undertake a study to help us understand the reasons for high attainment and alternately poor performance in our education system. This will allow us to develop strategies and implement policies that it will equip the system for effective and efficient delivery of education, teaching, instruction, and enhanced learning. Sorry. We intend to give analysis and review of the curriculum, which forms the menu of learning for our children, and will revise in particular the content of instruction as it relates to our history, so that a more meaningful representation is made to engender a greater understanding within our children of who we are, and for inculcation of ethics and civil responsibility. Again, I was intrigued that in the 1972 white paper, this fact was fully understood. Oh, how we have lost our way. Where it stated that in primary school instruction, for example, the curriculum would include instruction, and I quote, which satisfy the curiosity of the young child, emulate his imagination, and arouse his appetite for learning. An effort will be made to improve the cultivation of the arts of communication, the learning of skills which are appropriate to the primary level, and the strengthening of such areas of the curriculum as mathematics, science, health, and citizenship. These activities will be motivated by the aim to foster the abilities of critical thinking and evaluation, and will be infused with attention to the development of humane, moral, and ethical values. Every effort will be made to ensure that these learning experiences take place in the proper physical and social context and relate in a significant way to the real world of experiences such as the child does know, can know, and comprehend. Thus, not only will learning be facilitated, but also a sense of national pride and identity be nourished. End quote. As far back in 1972, there was a demonstration of a clear understanding that the curriculum entails more than an array of subjects, but a series of stimuli for the whole human child. We must seek to achieve this in a most powerful way in our national curriculum. In doing so, however, we must see an across-the-board fundamental grounding in the basics of literacy and numeracy, and offerings which include science, mathematics, and the arts, as well as an enhanced focus on technical and vocational education. The introduction of technical and vocational instruction will be discussed more fully by the Minister of State, the member for Yamacraw. Safe to say that a more aggressive thrust and specific curriculum development will be introduced to create a synergy and surge in training of young people to more directly participate in our economy and make a good living for themselves. We do understand that children have differing learning abilities, and children with disabilities and special needs must be fully factored into the national scheme of learning so that each and every child is able to develop his or her full potential. Greater resources, therefore, must be found, and we know the stories of children waiting for speech therapists and the like. Greater resources must be found to identify children with special needs and to provide timely interventions and remedial instruction so that no child is left behind. We must provide equity in education for all children. And we must work, Madam Speaker, assiduously to enhance teacher training and encourage and facilitate professional development on an ongoing basis throughout the career of a teacher. We must address all issues which affect teacher morale, including long-standing human resource issues, such as promotions, reclassifications, and confirmations. That dialogue is now underway both in-house and with the public service agencies. Teacher well-being is indispensable to the effective delivery and sharing of knowledge and optimum interactivity with the student population. I am humbly asking all parents to join with me and with this government so that we can do all that we can to support our children in the development of their intellect and their character in these challenging times. We know that many families face tremendous obstacles, but the support systems of government, such as guidance counselors and social workers, will be positioned to give support where it is needed. We always understood that it takes a village to raise a child. All parents, mothers, fathers, and guardians, please join your school's PTA and attend meetings to learn firsthand what is happening in the school and more greatly participate in the educational process of your children. The teachers are the partners of the parents in the execution of learning and the shaping of the lives of our children. This is how your child will excel. In future construction projects, we must be creative in the design of learning spaces for our children so as to create cooler, energy-efficient classrooms in the height of summer to ensure greater student comfort for the hours in the school day. It is my aim, and I pray it is possible, for us to achieve a reduction in the size of classes. Madam Speaker, student well-being is indispensable to a qualitative learning experience. It takes a village not only to raise a child, but it takes the village of goodwill and mutual cooperation for the effective delivery of education. We are reviewing the policies for the issuance of academic and technical scholarships and grants for those who will proceed to tertiary education, both locally and internationally, and may need to access state support. Make a noise.
Members?
Thank you, gentlemen. This review will incorporate an effort to more effectively rationalize the scholarship scheme so that public funds are utilized to train and develop young Bahamians in scarcity areas and professions and targeted skill sets, and that those young people should be strongly encouraged to return home and strategically contribute directly with their newly acquired disciplines and training to help shape the progress of the Bahamas. In the delivery of education in this Bahamas, we have determined to chart an optimistic and ambitious course in the creation of a new day for our people. It is a new day where there is a conscientious shared responsibility of not only the immediate stakeholders, but the entire community, the full village. But while we gear ourselves up to reform education in this country, we are faced on a simultaneous basis with an immediate and daunting crisis brought on by the coronavirus pandemic. I gave a communication a few days ago in this honorable House as to the enormity of the situation. And if we do not move quickly and decisively, we will reap a terrible fallout in this country. We have sought the assistance of the Department of Statistics to undertake a scientific survey to gain full insight into the reasons and issues resulting in thousands of children at all grades and levels having not signed on to the virtual learning program, and so essentially being absent from school in some instances for almost 2 years. We hope the findings will allow us to assist in the overcoming of obstacles to access of learning, which we suspect comprise an array of challenges. We are now embarking on the identification of each individual child and his or her grade level and school to devise a strategy based on the results to provide remediation for these children. Amongst this group are children who would have, under normal circumstances, completed their final year of school, both last year and this year. These children must now be considered dropouts. And we are devising strategies to engage these young people through programs, public and private, the National Training Agency, the Bahamas Technical Vocational Institute, youth training initiatives now under consideration, and apprenticeship programs with the private sector. This is an urgent situation, an emergency of sorts, which has the potential to seriously impact our national development and future prospects. Madam Speaker, I have saved the end of this contribution to address a most pressing and urgent matter, which I addressed as a matter of urgency in my communication to this House last week. As pointed out in that communication, we understand that there is much anxiety and angst and growing concern as to the question of the resumption of face-to-face instruction. As it is clear, this is the ideal method in teaching instruction and student learning for a myriad of reasons. It is also understood the pressures placed on children and teachers operating in hybrid or fully virtual school environments, and that those who have fallen outside of the system and the damage being caused. We are preparing for the resumption of face-to-face instruction in our public schools, but cannot do so until our health officials say that it is safe to do so and mandate the requisite health protocols to be undertaken to assure a safe environment for all. We must also work closely with parents and the unions to seek to allay any concerns that they may have. I am hoping that very soon we will be able to announce a date for the resumption of face-to-face classes. However, as previously pointed out in my communication, several schools nationwide, including here in New Providence, will not be able to reopen promptly due to the unsatisfactory state of repair, and in some instances, select schools will not be ready until next year. It is very unfortunate and disappointing that the previous administration did not cause for the annual school repair exercise to be undertaken expeditiously, and there has been egregious neglect. Since taking office and assuming responsibility for this state of affairs, We have been collaborating with the Ministry of Works, the member for Fort Charlotte, and the Ministry of Finance to accelerate these works. And we will do our utmost to minimize disruption due to circumstances which have been beyond our control. I will communicate further with the Bahamian people, Madam Speaker, and just to give an overview of those schools so we'll know, the people will know. The schools that will not be ready to resume opening in November, December, not until next year, I'm being told. L.W. Young, Yellow Elder Primary, C.W. Sawyer Primary, Ridgeland Primary, Civil Strawn Primary, Uriah McPhee Primary, S.C. McPherson Junior High, Gerald Cash Primary, Carlton Francis Primary, Center for the Deaf. All family schools, they say, I've been told, are ready for open, except Georgetown Primary and L.N. Coakley High, Exuma. Wow. But those schools, I'm told, should be ready the end of this month. No, they'll be ready the end of this month, but the others, it's dubious. Madam Speaker, as the young people say, this is not a game. The stakes are high, and our nation has gone off track. Each of us sitting in this House who formed this new administration promised to dawn a new day. We are tasked with the assignment to bring back rationality, to infuse pride and confidence in our self-perceptions, and to pursue excellence and attain shining progress. We have been gifted the opportunity and awesome task by the Bahamian people to usher in this new day. I pledge my heart and soul in this effort, and I thank the people of Engliston and the member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador for assigning to me this noble task. I humbly ask the Bahamian people to join me in this work. I only end in a prayer that the Almighty God, the creator of all things, will guide and protect me and all of us in this solemn and sacred undertaking. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Asmini? The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Central and South Abaco.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I am humbly honored to rise from the Central and South Abaco, encouraged that my fellow Abaconians have given me the support to speak for our constituency in this House. Definitely need the support. We have many needs and immense challenges to overcome. I will diligently work for my people. I would like to thank the Governor General for the dignified delivery of the speech from the throne. This foreshadows the government's plan to put Bahamians first and is the clear path forward for the evolution of our great nation. I sincerely thank my wife, Karina, for the continuous support and encouragement. I thank my two children, Valentina and Aster, for their understanding. The future generation of Abaco is the reason I stand here today. I thank my team in Abaco that walked the road to victory by my side. No individual can succeed without good people by their side. They are some of the best Bahamians and true Abaconians. Together, we will rebuild and grow Abaco. I congratulate my fellow members of Parliament. We must never forget we are here to serve the people of our great nation. As I take the tiller of this sloop with water over the bow, Central and South Abaco has her sails full of divine breeze and will be in the front of the fleet again. I will fulfill my promise to speak strong and loud for Central and South Abaco. In 2019, we experienced the biggest and most devastating storm in modern history, losing many of our family and friends and forever changing our lives. The scars will forever be present on our bodies and souls. We will never forget those who stood by our side in our time of need, and those who should have and did not. We are a resilient people, and Central and South Africa will now have a true and unwavering voice. Madam Speaker, my constituency is vast and diverse. We cover over 60 miles of mainland Abaco and many keys. These townships are unique and have many needs pre- and post-Dorian. Moores Island to the southwest is one of the fishing capitals of the Bahamas and home to many great Bahamians spread across this country. However, they are often forgotten. After Dorian, they had to rebuild the main public dock with reused wood. This dock is vital for their only industry of commercial fishing and landing the freight boat that supplies the food they eat. I have asked and received support to build a strong new dock for these settlements of over 700 Bahamians. It is my goal to bring the much needed attention to the people of Moores Island. The nurse works from a crumbling building. They need a proper medical clinic and a doctor to service that many residents. An airport building, a functioning runway is vital for this geographically secluded part of Abaco. My goal is to help them build a tourism industry. They will be a shining jewel of Abaco's and never forgotten again. Sandy Point will be the city of the South Abaco. They are well positioned to be an economic powerhouse of Abaco. I can say there are foreign and Bahamian tourism investments on the table that will bring jobs, commerce, airport, hurricane shelter, and upgrades to the two southern townships. These will help grow Sandy Point and Crossing Rocks alike. Sandy Point and Crossing Rocks have so much to offer, and its residents are ready to help grow both townships into a thriving area of the Bahamas. It is important to nourish and encourage the youth. Schools and sports parks will be revived to support talented young Abaconians in the South. Many of South Abaco's towns are ready to grow if provided with the fundamentals. The previous lack of representation is real. Basics like garbage collection, fire trucks, clinics, postal service, road safety elements, and most importantly, proper educational facilities are needed now. Given the proper tools, areas of Casuarina Point, Bahama Palm Shores, and Cherokee Sound can and will become robust towns. I have heard the people, and I am diligently working on providing what is needed. Madam Speaker, in Spring City and the greater Marsh Harbor area, the damage from Superstorm Dorian is clear. The land and the people are visibly affected 2 years on. The temporary housing domes were never completed properly. My Abaconians, at their time of need, were put in hard tents that are not safe nor sanitary. Bahamians living with raw sewage around them, sharing electricity from neighbors by drop cords, and living in cars is common. I am saddened. I am hurt how we were treated. Many millions spent with little to no help for the people. Our government workers are living in trailers parked outside the government complex, offices, and international airport. If you are lucky to have a house that is livable, there is often no water. I will not sleep well until my fellow Bahamians have a safe place to sleep. However, it is a new day, and immediate help is already on the way. An affordable housing program will start soon. There are other immediate needs I am currently addressing, such as roads patched together or dirt roads that wash away with every rain, children 2 years on virtual or no schooling, and our only airport to bring in much needed visitors, often with no running toilets, water, or backup power. Our children need and want to be in school. Great hardship has been put on their shoulders, and from Dorian and daily struggle living in Abaco. The only international airport in Abaco needs many aesthetic and maintenance issues attended to. First impressions are lasting impressions. Our tourism demand is high, and we must operate this facility properly to confirm to our visitors Abaco is coming back strong. The main shipping port in Abaco, located in Marsh Harbor, is a disgrace. They are operating with no facility, no security, or tools needed. Officials work from their cars and staff have not been paid. This is a serious obstacle to our recovery. We could be so much further if an attention was paid to Abaco's needs. However, this is a new day, and this vital international port will be brought back to proper working standards in short order. Madam Speaker, the Keys, as we Abaconians affectionately call them, Hopetown, Manawar, Scotland Key, Lubbers Quarters, and Guana Key are clear signs of rebound. However, it is also a reminder how we were left to survive on our own at our time of need. These keys account for most of Abaco's economy. Abaconians from all over Abaco come to work on these keys daily. However, if it was not for our resilience and drive to survive, this would not be so. Hopetown is a good example of this. The public docks, the government clinic, the government library, the public bathrooms, and the government school were all rebuilt with non-profit funds. The private community came to our aid and helped clean and rebuild as much as possible. Although we are still missing a public dock in the south, and importantly, the iconic government building that housed the post office, the police, and the district council that services the previously stated keys, the tourism is rebounding quickly with very high demand. However, with lack of much needed Dorian recovery help from the previous administration, Abaco is restricted on capacity to rebound. Madam Speaker, I'm reminded of Proverb 3:27. Do not withhold good from those whom it is due when it is in your power to act. It was many weeks before any food or water arrived from the previous government. With the help from our foreign friends and southern Bahamian islands like Spanish Wells, we would have had many more lives lost. The immediate restrictions of aid for Abaco in our time of dire need was great obstacle. We were exhausted and purely trying to survive, and bureaucracy got in the way. We must develop a true disaster plan of action, simple so the children would know what to do, but instructional in a way to have real direction when the time comes again. Communication is key. Satellite phones were the lifeblood of coordination. We have the experience and knowledge to create a plan that can be outlined for our island nation wherever need arises. Climate change is real and we must be prepared. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Prime Minister, Philip Bragg Davis, for allowing me a position to utilize my skills. I feel privileged to be on the Davis-led administration. I know he has the Bahamas' best interests at heart and mind. The PLP blueprint will stabilize, grow, and evolve the Bahamas to the top worldwide. empowering Bahamian entrepreneurs, diversifying our tourism product, expanding our economy throughout the Bahamas, highlighting our culture, and developing a sustainable agriculture and fisheries are some of the key components. Working with Deputy Prime Minister Isaac Chester Cooper in the Ministry of Tourism, Investment and Aviation has given me the opportunity to help Abaco and the Bahamas rebound. It is encouraging to work with such professional patriotism, and my pleasure to serve in his ministry with growing optimism for our future. Madam Speaker, market intelligence company Forward Keys calls the Bahamas tourism rebound extraordinary. The Caribbean leads the world in recovery, and the Bahamas leads the Caribbean by double-digit percentage. The COVID pandemic has highlighted what makes us so special. We have the cleanest air quality in the world, perfect for social distancing, and unrivaled unique natural beauty. The boating visitors are growing, as seen by the vast interest in the Bahamas at the recent Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, the largest in the world. I am developing the boating visitors experience into an easy and seamless process. The less time spent entering and exiting our waters directly correlates to the more time visiting our shops and restaurants, and more spending in our economy. Stopover visitors by air or by sea are the most valuable visitors we have. Madam Speaker, as Abaco recovers and other islands of the Bahamas rebound, these are the visitors we are working to retain. The boutique tourism model is proven in the Family Islands, and demand is there to expand. Foreign investment projects are needed now. However, I encourage Bahamians to bring forth your ideas. We will help make them realities. There are many projects on the table for Central and South Abaco. The goal is to be business-friendly and, most importantly, Bahamian-centric. Madam Speaker, I have set a course to bring Central and South Abaco back from the ashes and reborn into a phoenix of economic power. Helping Abaco is helping the Bahamas. With the support of my colleagues here in the House of Assembly, I am confident we will be bigger and better than ever. I thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank my colleagues, and I thank my fellow Abaconians for giving me this opportunity to stand here in the House and speak for them and bring our needs to light. May God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes Asmini. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Long Island.
Madam Speaker, good morning.
Morning.
I'm honored and privileged to rise in this place yet again for the second consecutive term. You know, Madam Speaker, that makes me a senior man in this place. I'm honored and privileged to rise, Madam Speaker, on behalf of the industrious and wonderful people of my hometown, Long Island. I'm elated to represent the people from whence I came, yet again. And I want to thank the people of Long Island for reposing their trust and confidence in me, and for giving your island boy another chance to stand in this place and represent your interests. Madam Speaker, I thank God for this wonderful opportunity to be elected yet again to serve my home people. I thank my family for standing with me, assisting me where they could, offering words of comfort and support. I also want to thank my illustrious team and all the volunteers who helped me to be here today. I could not do it without them. I appreciate all of you. from those who created my graphic works, to manage my pages, to handle the PR, to those who worked the ground, put up and removed posters and billboards, cooked, served drinks and food, painted, walked, called, and did so many things. I thank you all so very much. Madam Speaker, let me also congratulate you on your ascension to the high office of Speaker of the House of Assembly. You are now the second woman and first PLP, female MP, to attain that position. Congratulations. Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate the Honorable Prime Minister, the member for Cat Island, Rumpkins, and Salvador, on becoming our 5th Prime Minister. You know, I also have Cat Island roots. And so my grandfather on my mother's side, Mr. Henry Stubbs, is from Dumfries, Cat Island.
Why didn't you tell us that before?
Why do you think I had all that interest? Huh? And one of my cousins is the legendary singer Phil Stubbs.
Yeah, storyteller.
Omar Stubbs, the chief counselor of Cat Island, is one of my cousins as well. I believe he might be one of the Prime Minister's generals. My late grandmother, on my mother's side, Miss Vernice O'Brien, is from Mangrove Key, South Andros. And quite honestly, Madam Speaker, she was a general of Mother Pratt. Mother Pratt even spoke at her funeral in early 2020. And so I've taken a keen interest in all of these places. You see, the world is not so big after all. Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate my good friend, the member for Zuma on Ragged Island and now Deputy Prime Minister. The Family Islands should do well this term. I believe this is the first time that we have a Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister who hold Family Island seats. And I want to say that Long Island is open to benefit from this windfall, notwithstanding that we are the only red dot on the map. We held firm. Madam Speaker, I want to quickly congratulate a few persons here who I've known for some time. The member for Carmichael in his absence, my old teacher, Mr. Bell, always would be appreciated, always gave sage advice. The member for West Grand Bahama and Bimini. And I wonder if I should talk this, but, you know, the member is my son's godfather. And in the past, though we are on different sides politically, we talked about one day serving in this house together, although I hope to be seated on that side of the aisle and him on this side. And of course, the member for Angliston, a firebrand, a family and mine have been friendly for years with our late father and my grandfather being long-time friends, a friendship that grew from their long-established lawyer-client relationship. The member for for Marathon, my old law school classmate. The member for Pinewood, Miss Pinewood. Miles, we are here. And of course, the member for Fort Charlotte, the MP for the area where my home is situated. Madam Speaker, I want to thank my mentor, the Honorable Desmond Bannister. You know, Mr. Bannister is a great man. He's been a great source of support and guidance and advice that I've always appreciated. He's someone who I greatly respect and admire, and his absence here is deeply felt. Madam Speaker, I want to also thank the member for Kalani for giving a young 32-year-old fella from Long Island a chance. So you stood on the front line, you led the way, and though we lost, keep your head up. Madam Speaker, I extend my condolences to the family of Miss Lula and Etlin Bethel, the family of Miss Sylvia Knowles, and all those families who lost loved ones since I last spoke in this place. I did not come to this place to waste time spinning tires and not getting on with the people's business. However, there are matters that I intend to address in this communication, in this contribution. Also to the government, I say, I'm not here to oppose for opposing's sake. However, I do intend to keep your feet to the fire. And when occasions arise, I will support the government's agenda. Madam Speaker, I listened keenly to the speech from the throne. I was pleased to hear about the investments in Family Island clinics. I'm especially interested in seeing the IDB-funded works undertaken at the clinic in Deadman's Key, Long Island. Notably, we were also promised works from the Ministry of Works capital budget to the second clinic, that is the Sims Clinic. Both clinics have fallen into a state of disrepair, and we are desperately in need of consistent medical or medicine supplies and increased nursing staff. Moreover, doing a virtual town hall meeting early this year, we were promised an ambulance for the Deadman's-Key Clinic, which I am advised is covered in the IDB loan. In conducting renovations to our clinic, we are keen to have telemedicine and lab services put in place so that Long Islanders don't need to come and fly to New Providence for medical issues that could be addressed locally or for blood tests and other simple lab works. This is how we decentralize healthcare in the Family Islands. Now, on another note, Madam Speaker, I believe in respect. And so though we might be on different sides politically, I do not think that any member from the opposite side can say that I've ever gone into their constituency without giving them the courtesy of informing them and or even inviting them. During the last term, all of the Family Island MPs on the other side can attest to having invitations extended to them and having participated in openings and related events. And so I've never visited anyone's constituency without telling them it is simply a decent, respectful thing to do. Worse still, to bring along the loser, the fellow who lost the race, so he can pretend to be MP and insult the people of Long Island who duly voted and elected their MP. Mr. Speaker, that is a courtesy afforded to an MP, not the losing candidate. And given that my interest was piqued when I recently saw the losing candidate, Terrell Young, on an official trip to Long Island with the Ministry of Health, with the Minister of Health. He's not the MP. He's not an employee of the Ministry of Health. So I wondered, who's paying for this? Are taxpayers being made to pay for a political poke in the eye towards the sitting MP? Subsequent to that trip, I noted that Mr. Young in recent days was appointed chair of the BAMSI board. So why was he on that trip? And why are taxpayers funding it? Was he detecting COVID in an unknown capacity?
The chair recognizes the honourable member for examining regulation.
Madam Speaker, let me say for the record, as a Family Island Member of Parliament, I support the notion that the Island MP ought to be invited on trips to their constituency. It is a view I held even when in opposition, and it didn't happen then. So let's be clear about this. It is the policy of the Davis Cooper administration that this be done as a courtesy by this administration, notwithstanding the fact that they didn't do it for us. The next point I would make is that a minister will have the authority to make whatever decision he wishes, he or she, in terms of who he invites to travel with him. So, as a courtesy to the MP, it should happen. And this is our policy, but I think that's as far as I'm prepared to take it.
Thank you, honourable member.
Madam Speaker, the member is my good buddy. He knows that I have invited him, most certainly, in the past. And so I think he would acknowledge that. Thank you. Thank you, member. No. Madam Speaker, I've spoken to the member for Exuma about the new Long Island International Airport, and he has pledged that that airport will be constructed. You know, the member's half Long Islander. His mother's from Deadman's-Key. So I always throw that in his face as well. When we left office, I'm advised that both the land side and the air side of the airport had been tendered, and I'm advised that the tender evaluation had been completed. And given the same, the airport was at a stage of imminent signing. It is my intention to pay great attention to advocating for this much-needed airport. This is undoubtedly the catalyst needed to launch Long Island into a new, prosperous socio-economic stratosphere. As such, as I thank the Governor General for his speech from the throne, I welcome the works to Family Island airports. But when the roll is called, I hope Long Island is there. Madam Speaker, I am pleased to hear of the plans to invest and execute infrastructural upgrades on the islands. I just want to ensure that Long Island is not left out. In addition to an airport, we need roads, we need drainage issues addressed. The member for Fort Charlotte, I'll reach out to him. We need seawalls, striping of roads and/or reflected lanes using cat eyes. We need the establishment of, we don't have any parks, any properly established recreational space. And we need the placement of a Ministry of Works officer so that matters, infrastructural deterioration does not go unaddressed. And so I intend to write to the minister on this and several other matters in the coming days. Where's Grandma? You ain't get me today. I welcome any strategic plan to improve life on the family islands. And I certainly support local government having revenue-raising powers, particularly given that most of the revenue generated on the islands are repatriated to Nassau and put into the consolidated fund, which most family islanders view as a financial black hole, given the limited returns to the islands. And so the local government and budget in Long Island has rolled over year without change. Not much can be done with that tight budget, and I'm hoping that that is increased. Madam Speaker, I note that the government is pledged to provide a debt management plan to address the debt burden, while also pledging to amend the VAT Act to lower the rate of VAT. It will be interesting to see how they go hand in hand. I welcome the increase in old age pension, but I've heard no details of how this increase will be funded. So does the government intend to increase NIB rates? I'm curious to see how the government funds some of the proposed social initiatives in the speech. And now that the government has decided to give poor people, or poor Bahamians, the New Year's gift of VAT, 10% VAT across the board, where raises now being applied to bread basket items, medicine, insurance, and everyday items, I'm interested in seeing more meat on the bones. Is the plan to replace the reduced VAT revenue by adding 10% to bread basket items? In other words, is the plan to take off 2% off of steak and caviar and add 10% to cream, tuna, corned beef, and so on? Madam Speaker, the government has pledged to expand the provision of potable water and to develop a national strategy relative to water as a natural resource. I left much work afoot, as the saying goes. And as the saying goes, some sow and some reap. Shortly, the government can commission works in Crooked Island, where the plant is being installed, or was being installed when we left office. Commission works in Abaco that we could not commission due to the strike of airport workers. Commission works in Cat Island, and can commission a new corporation-owned reverse osmosis plant in the Lutroy and Naguas and Salvador, Black Point, and Great Exuma. You hear that? These were all nearing completion or well on the way when I left. Madam Speaker, lot number 5 from Burnt Ground to Seymour's was awaiting final approval from the Caribbean Development Bank also, so that contract could be signed. That contract should be ready for sign-off. And this would result in water being extended to the residents of deep North Long Island. I hope that too, is completed. I would strongly urge the government to take a serious look at the egregious, greed-driven contracts that have been signed between the Water and Sewage Corporation and certain avaricious reverse osmosis water providers. As many of these contracts expired, we sought to move on and equip WSC to run its own plants. We must protect our natural resources, water, and not to allow ourselves to be held hostage by any foreign RO operator. Madam Speaker, the WSC audits have all been compiled. We have years of audits ready to table. We had years ready to table on the 22nd of September when we thought we would come back after summer break. And so those were printed and left at the corporation. Madam Speaker, I saw a circular stating that WSC will immediately commence mass disconnections on the 15th. Whilst I perhaps, more than anyone else, understand the fiscal challenges the Water and Sewage Corporation faces, the time frame is too sudden. Some persons have admitted to me that they have not paid a water bill since March 2020. Some people haven't paid in a year and a half, Madam Speaker. So to have this snap action of disconnections, lots and lots of people would be without water. I'm certain that that is not the new day many of them voted for. And surely they did not vote for a new day without reasonable notice and to be without fresh running water. Madam Speaker, this is a good point to pivot and address matters concerning my chairmanship at WSC. Frankly, the last campaign was perhaps the most vicious campaign I've ever witnessed. It is certainly the worst I've been a part of. To my colleague, Mr. Stephen Greenslade, who ran in Garden Hills, I want to thank you for securing my home as I campaigned on Long Island. I shared Mr. Greenslade some of my concerns during the campaign, and he provided security in my home up until election day without any cost to me. This is the epitome of brotherly love. Mr. Speaker, you know, some time has passed. I've been waiting for this day. During the campaign, I was asked to issue a comprehensive statement. I'm not engaged in a persistent back and forth that may not bode well or drag out longer than the PR team or the party had an appetite for. You know, during campaigns, the party's PR machinery takes precedence to one's own, and one is guided by the same. Being a party man, I complied. Admittedly, given my history of quick responses, that may have not been the wisest response or approach. But, Madam Speaker, I want to say here that during that cycle, I call it a political conch salad, was thrown into the public domain. This political concoction featured different documents from different matters, notwithstanding that the documents concern different things. And it is unfortunate that as we even move on from that election cycle, that our politics have descended to this point. I remember standing in this point in this house in 2018 and having cause to express regrets and apologies to the member for Cat Island. I remember calling the speaker, the then speaker, the night before and told him I'd wish to address a matter that had nagged me and publicly do so. And that, of course, was after I had strongly chastised the auditors who drafted the document, but there was a copy of his mother's obituary in the addendum report to the report. Frankly, I had not reviewed that supplemental document. See, I believe that spouses, people one might be involved with, significant others, parents and children are off limits completely. And we must be careful not to set dangerous precedents, or to quote Mr. Paul Farquharson, to take politics, Paul Farquharson Jr., to take politics to the water's edge. Mr. Speaker, during the campaign, Madam Speaker, I apologize. You know, Madam Speaker, you've been saying Mr. Speaker, so please forgive me for any time that mistake is made.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, during the campaign, I can recall vividly. See, one of the things I am always cautious about is the politics of personal destruction, which is practiced seemingly at a unique level here in the Bahamas. During the campaign, I remember my supporters telling me about receiving calls. Did you get a contract? How many you got from water and sewage? How many you got for school repairs? So I heard you got one too. Did you get one to repair the clinic? I don't know any elected politician who has not ensured that constituents and supporters and others have had opportunities to bid on contracts. Every member who has served at least one term can attest to that. So, Madam Speaker, I can say that I remember giving a statement concerning contracts during the campaign cycle. And the particulars of that statement, and I often see reports in the papers talking about what I didn't say in that statement without even actually saying what I said in the statement. But the particulars of that statement, Madam Speaker, I tried to be as clear as possible. And I want to say that whilst I plainly stated the nature of what happened concerning those matters, I note that there's some obfuscation. I want to bring further clarity to that. This is real life, not a game to destroy reputations or careers, or to constantly seek social media minions on a person. Outside of the banter in these walls, we're all real persons with everyday struggles. So let me address the issues at hand. Madam Speaker, a few years ago, the corporation issued cleaning memorandums for the provision of yard cleaning and ground maintenance services to a number of vendors. These memos were issued to clean various sites and operational compounds. These agreements also called for monthly maintenance of these sites over a particular period. Notably, more than a dozen vendors received such memos. Given that, the Water and Sewage Corporation set the rates for the cleaning, the maintenance. Some were in place long before my tenure. In fact, many of these maintenance contracts, if everyone here wants to be frank, these memos were issued to previous party supporters of the government we came in after. Interested vendors could either accept the offers or to provide the yard cleaning and maintenance services or reject the same, and a broad swath of vendors were considered. Let me also state that in all of these instances, these persons were qualified. However, in a number of instances, as I indicated earlier, there were recommendations. The corporation awarded a memo to a company whose principals engaged an attorney, yes, who's known to me, to provide corporate services. Pursuant to Bahamian law, Madam Speaker, in order to incorporate a company, one, and this is all the lawyers in this place would know this. If you want to form a company, most times if someone comes to you to form a company, you are a subscriber, someone in your office, some friend you know, family member, whomever, can be a second subscriber merely for their name, because the Bahamian law requires you to have 2 subscribers in order to incorporate a company. I was advised that in the process of incorporating this company, the attorney was legally authorized to act on their behalf. She was engaged by private individuals, and it was upon that basis that the corporation interacted with her. I was further advised that having legal authority to represent her clients, the attorney signed a memo on their behalf for the provision of maintenance services, and that was also accompanied by correspondence that was issued to the corporation's general manager advising of the same. And sometime later, there was further correspondence issued stating she was no longer authorized to act on behalf of the company as an agent and requesting an amendment of the records to reflect the same. Even after that, another correspondence was issued. At a later date, the company submitted a bid to the corporation's normal contracting process. That bid went through the internal procedures, and by the way, this attorney was no longer involved. Shares had been issued to the beneficial owners, and so the bid went through the normal internal processes, and the 3 lowest bidders were ultimately given the work, with the corporation setting the price for the sandblasting, priming, painting, renovation, refurbishment of some tanks. At the time of that engagement, I am advised that the attorney was no longer involved with the company in any capacity. As far as I'm aware, she always operated in a legal and professional capacity. And I cannot speak to the extent of that capacity, nor can I, but I can speak to the extent of that capacity, even though it's a legal and professional capacity. And I can only speak to the corporation's policy, which does not restrict any vendor's discretion to choose who they wish to carry out their affairs. Madam Speaker, I want to say that many attorneys are in this place, and many of us in this place are subscribers and nominee directors for companies. Does that mean that we are owners or part owners of the company? No. If that is the case, many of us would need to recheck our declarations. By that reasoning, every lawyer here owns more than 50 to a few thousand companies. It is unusual, it is not unusual for companies to be formed by attorneys or for attorneys to act on behalf of companies or their clients. This is not out of the ordinary. My good friend, the member from Angleton, once shared with me how she had subscribed and been nominee shareholder for hundreds of companies.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Angleton.
Invite the member in his attempt to, it's like escapade himself, that he not draw me into his dialogue. If you want to rationalize your presentation based on your conduct, do so. Do not draw me into your debate, please. I'd appreciate it.
You know,
Thank you,
Madam Speaker, I'm not seeking to impugn the member's character or anything.
No, don't draw me into
I'm just speaking to us as attorneys. And as I indicated earlier, the legal standard requires two persons or entities to subscribe a company or to incorporate a company. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, it's also widely known that smaller maintenance undertakings would not come to the level of the board. The board usually deals with approvals of 100,000 or more. However, such discussions can be had with the GM or the chair or the minister or the PM or even board members. Mr. Speaker, prior to coming or when we came to office, I observed that many maintenance contracts were also issued to persons who were party supporters from the other side. That's common practice across party lines, it appears. People like Carlos Lamb from Lamb Construction, Barbara Cartwright, Astrid Bodie, R&L Landscaping, R&L Backhoe Services all had maintenance contracts. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I want to say here that I have absolutely no beneficial or any other interest in the company Elite Maintenance. I can confirm that WSC has entered into various memos, letters of acceptance, contracts with many companies during my tenure of all political stripes. Madam Speaker, the references to a joint bank account that I've seen was a red herring. That account is and was at all times a personal account set up from 2014. So that's irrelevant to any company at all. That was a personal account for which a road contractor placed $200 on it. The money was removed. The bank wrote me a letter of apology, which I have, having conducted the investigation and discovering that someone internally would have released that information, the account information. And the matter is now before the courts. To be very clear, at no time did any funds whatsoever go into this joint personal bank account. Mr. Speaker, I reiterate, Madam Speaker, I reiterate Jim Donaldson's statement when he said at no time has the corporation ever issued no bid contracts for these matters to undertake any painting works, that the bids were reviewed by executive management who made a recommendation to the board of directors, and that we've always conducted an arduous process that had multiple levels of due diligence, including having an independent quantity surveyor come on and speak to pricing of various works, in addition to our engineering and planning department. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, it's time to be a myth buster and to address some other lies and acts of intentional libel. Madam Speaker, I understand the need to clear this up for the Bahamian public, and I understand that it's important that the air is cleared. So let me state, I do not own any plaza and/or gas station in Long Island. They belong to Mr. Cyril Sims. I do not own the Harbor Breeze Villas. They belong to Mr. Ellis Major. I do not own any bar or restaurant on Gordon's Beach. That belongs to Mr. Ernest Watson. There are one or two pictures of my constituents' properties that are taken, and I don't own them, and I will happily say that what I own. Long Islanders know this. So the objective must have been to deceive the wider public. Anyone wanted to know what I owned, I'd happily tell them. Madam Speaker, yes, a number of generators were situated in my constituency office in Long Island. During the last budget debate, I announced that I purchased them and would have been donating them to local government and the administrator from our constituency fund for use at the hurricane shelters, for disaster preparedness and other concerns that they deemed fit. I have a letter from the Ministry of Finance that I wrote to them seeking the exemption on the customs and VAT. Their letter back to me. I have the receipts for the purchases, the Betty K shipping receipts, and so on. And contrary to what was falsely claimed on social media, as at today's date, I do not own any home in Orlando or anywhere else in the USA. And given that I have a young child and I hope to have more, I'd love to own a home in Orlando, sure. If I'm able to attain such a mortgage in future, sure, why not? However, that is not currently the case. And if anyone can produce credible, legitimate documents, Honourable Speaker, may I have another 3 minutes to wrap up?
Honourable Member, you have exceeded your time, and I'll ask you to now take your seat. We have to move on.
Honourable Speaker, can just another 3 minutes, just to wrap up.
Honourable Member, you've exceeded your time, and I'm now asking you to take your seat.
Thank you.
The chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Fox Hill.
I didn't hear much of the presentation, but what I was concerned about was the calling of the names of some people, one of whom is, all of whom seem to be private citizens. And I'm not sure that that was appropriate to be dragging their names into the public domain in that way. If you want to make a case for your own reputation, that's fine. But what you do by mixing their names up in this is to somehow suggest by innuendo that they were engaged in something improper. We don't even know whether the allegation made about them is actually correct. So I just want, if you consider just withdrawing those names, because I just think it's totally inappropriate.
Firstly, when I raised those names, I was speaking to those maintenance contracts that have over the years been given to party supporters. Their names, these individuals had memos or contracts to carry out maintenance works. I'm happy to lay the document that reflects the same. It was not meant for anything but that.
The chair recognizes the member for Charlotte.
Madam Speaker, on a point of order, it is not, it's the selectivity. If the honourable member, and it's so unfortunate because the very same thing that the honourable member is seeking to do for his benefit, he is imputing to other people. If the honourable member was offering to lay on the table the names of all of the vendors, that's a different matter. But he persists in the selection and say, I will lay on the table the names of the contracts with respect to the names I call. How does that cure the selectivity? How does that cure the fact that in seeking to extricate, in seeking to respond, rather, to the allegations that have been made, why would you make an allegation against persons who are not here to defend themselves? I think in the spirit. No. So then what is the relevance? What is the relevance of calling people's name if one is not disclosing all of the vendors?
Our members on the speak tonight.
Is it to make a point? And what is that? What is the relevance of that point to what is being debated today? The speech from the throne.
Amen.
The chair recognizes
There was no intent damage to those persons.
So withdraw.
But to merely state that these contracts, these maintenance arrangements, right, have been given to party supporters on both sides. However, if it is believed, Madam Speaker, that in any way these persons, some offense was caused to these persons, I withdraw their names.
I'm asking you to withdraw those names.
I do so.
Thank you. The chair recognizes the
imperative that the member and other members in this place refuse and refrain from making allegations about party supporters and non-party supporters and party supporters of one side or the other. They're Bahamians, and business persons and entrepreneurs. That's how they ought to be defined. Bahamians, entrepreneurs who seek contracts, who receive contracts by proceeding through the normal and the correct legal way.
I wish that would extend to everyone.
But I suppose we can cause that to happen, but what you did and what you attempted to do, that is why we do not agree with your approach.
You've withdrawn. And I've withdrawn the names, right? I made the point, but in no way am I seeking to say that these weren't legitimate business owners. All of the parties are.
Yes.
Response from the record.
Yes. I order that those names be expunged from the record, and I'm asking that the media houses
Just making
do not print those allegations because that has been expunged from the record. There's no proven point. Thank you. Are you trying to bombard the chair? Give me an opportunity, please. I'm speaking.
I'm not bombarding the chair.
You are bombarding the chair. I am speaking. Do I not have the authority?
Yes, you do, but
I said, do I not have the authority?
Madam Speaker, you do have the authority in this case. Absolutely, right? However, I'm not seeking to bombard the chair as a member. As a member, I merely stated a fact. I withdrew the names.
And what I am saying, honorable member, that when I am speaking, allow me to complete what I'm saying, and then let me recognize you, which I have not, and then you may speak. Thank you. Now, Marco City, I saw you on your feet. The chair recognizes the honorable member.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I sought only to make the point that in your direction, which is within your authority, you use the word allegation. And the point is no allegation was made. And of course, members opposite gave a recommendation that the member for Long Island ought to withdraw, which he has done. I just wanted to make sure that the record does not reflect the term allegation, since there was no allegation made by Long Island.
Marco City, I said allegation. Did he bring the facts to support that document or that statement?
No.
Or that statement?
Madam Speaker, I've offered to you a suggestion. You might wish
It is
to
a
take it or
suggestion.
not take
Thank
it,
you.
but we think it is inappropriate.
Thank you, Marco City. It is a suggestion, and I said allegation, and unless he sends the supporting documents to the chair, I use the word allegation. Thank you. The chair recognizes the chair for Fox Hill.
Clever, but the fact is, he knows what he was doing. He knows exactly what he was doing. He's trying to poison the well. So I'm glad he withdrew it. No, you poisoned the well. That's what you were trying to do. So don't be clever. Don't be clever. You were trying to poison the well. You were trying to poison the well now.
Honorable
Don't do it.
members.
You shouldn't do it. It's improper.
Fox Hill has the floor.
Is it not a fact?
No, it is not a fact.
And I'm afraid.
No, exactly. So what you're doing is approbating and reprobating now. First you get up and withdraw, now you're shouting from your seat that it's a fact.
The chair recognizes the honorable member since first in hand.
My good sense reminds me that my chair is most comfortable at this time.
Most comfortable.
I would much prefer at this moment to remain seated. But if I may be of assistance, Madam Speaker, I would take that task on if there's anything that I can convey to my colleagues. I'm happy that the time has come to an end. This is my first time as leader of opposition business in the House. And it's interesting that after a speaker's time was concluded and the speaker made decision that we must move on, that we've now gone about 10 minutes beyond it for good reason. But again, I'm happy to be seated and I'm obliged.
Are you questioning the chair?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm happy to be seated.
Thank you.
I'm here to
Would
assist.
you please take your seat?
You had called on me.
As many, the chair recognizes the honorable member for Seabreeze.
Good morning. Madam Speaker, I stand here today reminiscing on one of my favorite hymns. To God be the glory, great things he has done. I am eternally grateful to God for equipping me and calling this progressive body to a time such as this, to lead our nation to a better and brighter future. To God be the glory, great things he has done. It is a privilege to stand in this honorable house to represent the great constituency of Seabreeze, who I humbly thank for their overwhelming support and confidence in me to get the work done for our community. An African proverb states that it takes a village to raise a child. Indeed, I had an exceptional village all of my life. I would like to thank my family, especially my mom and dad, my father, Leslie Miller, who is known as the People's Pot Cake. He is a fighter for the everyday working man, a champion for the people. I am honored to follow in his footsteps. To my mother, Joycelyn, thank you for your example that inspires me to humbly serve others with grace, love, and compassion. It is through your sacrifices and encouragement I stand here today. I would like to thank my husband, Leander Bryce, for his love and unwavering support. To my children, Quade Leslie, Liam Javon, Layla Marie, thank you for motivating me. I promise to make you proud. To my siblings who always keep me grounded, I am proud to be your sister. To my Grammy Hyson, the morning calls truly inspire and uplift my spirit. To my Apostle and Lady Wells, thank you for your spiritual guidance. To the women of We Lead, I salute you. To my core Seabreeze team, to the team at Seabreeze headquarters and Team LB, thank you. Your determination and love for the Bahamas will keep us doing great things for our community. I wish to thank scores of residents and voters of the Seabreeze constituency who saw in me the qualities, the drive, hard work, and commitment they would hope for in their elected representative. The overwhelming victory for the Progressive Liberal Party in Seabreeze and throughout the country made it clear that Bahamians were tired of the neglect and substandard leadership of the former administration, and we were ready to embrace compassionate and progressive leadership. And we thank you for entrusting us with the future of this great country. Seabreeze residents made it clear at the polls that they were ready for real representation. Representation that is focused on love, focused on action, and focused on compassion. I am here, Seabreeze, and I am ready to serve you. I will be your voice in this honorable place, and I will work to serve and partner with you to build and strengthen our community. Madam Speaker, Seabreeze represents a kaleidoscope of hard-working Bahamians from various backgrounds who all have hopes and dreams for a greater Bahamas. It has been an honor over the last year and a half to learn more about the families in Seabreeze and how best to partner with them, to serve them, and to equip them. My team and I have fully canvassed the Seabreeze constituency and have submitted a detailed list to various ministries as it relates to concerns and necessary infrastructural repairs. As we cleaned, repaired, and enhanced the communities during the campaign, we will continue to do so at a greater level over the next few years to ensure Seabreeze is better and consistently improved. Madam Speaker, I wish to pause to congratulate you and my fellow sisters in this honorable place for being a part of the historical 7 women elected at a time such as this. I congratulate you, Madam Speaker, on your historical achievements and look forward to serving alongside you all. With this, ladies, comes great responsibility. And it is important as we work together, we work even harder to enhance women and girls in this country. It is my prayer that our representation here is a catalyst for further advancement of women in this country and in public service. Community organizer and writer Margaret Wheatley once said that there is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. There are several initiatives that have been established in the Seabreeze constituency. The LB Learning Academy provided essential tutoring for over 250 students in preparations for BJCs, BGCSEs, and GLAD examinations that were needed, as many students adjusted to the virtual platforms and required additional support to prepare for these vital tests. A part of our Youth Empowerment for Seabreeze is an annual STEM summer camp that will center around the STEM disciplines of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and use this as a platform to introduce a scholarship program geared towards STEM professional development and tertiary education. Enhancing the environment in Seabreeze is one of my commitments. So far, the Seabreeze Community Cleanup Program has cleared over 200 lots and removed more than 75 derelict vehicles, and numerous potholes have been repaired. Additionally, there has been cleaning of drainage systems in Seabreeze to prevent flooding. This pandemic has caused a strain on many households and incomes of all kinds. We wanted to ease the burdens of constituents through providing over 3,500 food packages and over 3,000 back-to-school packages as we went door to door to assist parents in their expenses for school items. Our vision for Seabreeze includes community development programs, which focuses heavily on the family. I will advocate for policies and national programs that strengthen the average Bahamian family and better support the working family. I will also promote healthy co-parenting networks and provide better support to single parents. Our Seabreeze Smart Family Initiative will develop financial literacy programs for adults and children to focus on budgeting basics, understanding interest rates, smart investments, prioritizing savings, credit debt traps, and protecting and insuring assets. Our Seabreeze Fit program, already underway, will continue to conduct health and wellness initiatives that promote active, healthy habits and minimize health risk and related diseases. Our community backyard farming project will complement our health and wellness initiatives, which also supports the Progressive Liberal Party's commitment to food security. Our Seabreeze Light program is an ongoing initiative to install and maintain proper lighting throughout the Seabreeze constituency. This is to ensure that our communities are properly lit to minimize criminal activity and create a better sense of safety and comfort. I am passionate about entrepreneurship and want to see more entrepreneurs spring up throughout the Seabreeze constituency. There will be 2 programs that will assist both adults and the youth in either starting their businesses or helping with their current one. From certified classes to hands-on training opportunities and seminars, I want to ensure every entrepreneur in Seabreeze is equipped with the resources to succeed. I am proud of the business owners in Seabreeze. Let me repeat, I am proud of the business owners in Seabreeze who continue to put in the work to keep their businesses up and going, and those who find creative ways to operate their business, especially in this COVID environment. These hard-working business owners have been at the forefront in Seabreeze doing business. Their presence makes a huge difference in our community. As I campaigned door to door, the constituents of Seabreeze appreciated my presence, my action, and their access to me to address their concerns. I promise to be just as visible, accessible, and productive as their member of parliament. The work we started during the campaign is just the beginning. The number for my constituency office is 468-6200, and our office hours are Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. through 6 p.m. I have already begun meeting with residents of Seabreeze constituency, and I look forward to meeting with many others. Meanwhile, during Breast Cancer Month, we randomly chose several women of Seabreeze, one for each polling division, to join myself and my mother for mammogram testing. I want to say a special thank you to the local diagnostic community who give discounts each October, which assist in the affordability of mammograms. Studies have recorded that the Bahamas has the highest known rates of the BRCA gene. Therefore, early detections for persons is critical to saving lives. Due to these high rates, we need to find a way for mammograms to be free. Right. Madam Speaker, recently I had an official visit to London to accompany the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Public Service, the Honourable Fred Mitchell, and Minister of Transport and Housing, the Honourable Jobeth Colby Davis, for the Bahamas' re-election to the International Maritime Organization Council. In Category C, a council to which the Bahamas has consistently been a member since 1999. The Bahamas is a leader in the maritime industry and as a flagship has over 1,500 ships totaling over 64 million gross tonnage on its register. We should be proud that the Bahamas is one of the high-ranked flags with a low risk factor in the region and achieving international standards. In dealing with the international affairs, I am honored to be invited by the Prime Minister to serve as ambassador to CARICOM. A role that will allow me to serve on the CARICOM Committee of Ambassadors that acts as a nexus between member states' needs and the regional agenda. The committee also works closely with bodies of the community, such as CARICOM Secretariat, to maintain an efficient system of consultations at the national and regional level. The role of the committee of the CARICOM ambassadors is also to provide strategic advice, recommendations, and support to the CARICOM community. We must foster and enhance diplomatic relations, including the development of economic, political, and cultural relations between the Bahamas and CARICOM. Additionally, protect and promote economic interests of the Bahamas. I believe that the Bahamas must take full advantage of the potential for investment funding, joint ventures, training opportunities, and cultural exchanges that the Caribbean can offer to the Bahamas. Through my appointment, the Bahamas will further create opportunities that will foster new economic growth and create international partnerships that will strengthen our country with a special focus on agriculture, cultural affairs, education, gender affairs, and youth development. Madam Speaker, the coronavirus has had and continues to have an impact on this country and those around the world. While this is a crisis for nations and leaders around the world, we must use this time as a vehicle to upgrade and enhance our nation. When written in Chinese, the word for crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger and the other represents opportunity. Like others, we did not choose this crisis, but since it is here, we must decide to use it as an opportunity to strengthen and restructure the very fiber of our national identity. Madam Speaker, since this pandemic hit, I have seen more Bahamians than ever before become more resourceful, more industrious, less wasteful, and maximize all resources available to them. I have seen more Bahamians start their backyard farming and also share locally grown vegetables and fruits with neighbors. The pandemic has caused many neighbors within neighborhoods and communities to get back to the basics of being their brother's keeper. There are many Bahamian families who have lost loved ones and family members weeks and days apart. I have seen families go to funerals almost every weekend back to back since the pandemic. In my constituency, one household alone lost 3 family members, a mother and 2 sons, Carolyn Ramsey Brown, Abishai York, and Crendero Ramsey. I once again extend my deepest sympathies to their family and to the many families who lost loved ones. My condolences. We will never truly comprehend the emotional turmoil that this pandemic has caused our people. But I know this government, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, is committed to ensuring that the Bahamas will see some of its best days ahead of us. I will pause to thank all of our frontline workers, healthcare professionals, educators, and those everyday heroes who have sacrificed, adjusted, and risked their lives to keep our nation moving. You gave many a fighting chance and transition to the new norm of protocols, masks, and virtual learning. Madam Speaker, Proverbs 31:13 through 15 speaks of a woman who is diligent in her affairs. It states, and I quote, "She selects wool and flax and works eagerly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family." Madam Speaker, today and every day we ought to celebrate women who work tirelessly for their families. There are women in this country, single mothers, divorced mothers with sole custody of their children, grandmothers raising grandchildren, and aunties raising their siblings' children all throughout the Bahamas. They are not perfect women, Madam Speaker, but it is women like these who are the breadwinners of their homes and are fighting to keep their families together. Because of this pandemic, women deserve special praise, as this crisis has also put even more responsibilities on women. There are mothers, single, married, and divorced, who are both trying to work from home while juggling their children's school participation and keeping the household. The government enhancement of social assistance to those in need, especially women breadwinners, are critical during this time. Last week, the Honorable Member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador announced that there will be a $500 lump sum given to those in the Special Assistance Program, which is a much welcomed assistance. Madam Speaker, the diligent women who know how to make $10 out of 50 cents will stretch that money in ways that many of us cannot comprehend. $50 is going towards an ASU for her savings. $40 will go towards gas for her car. $100 will go towards a payment for the utility bills. Another $50 will pay to fill up her cooking gas tank. $100 will be for groceries in order to make the Christmas season special for her family. And the dollars left will be to get snacks for the children, some of them who are eating their parents out of house and home. You see, Madam Speaker, I highlighted what the government's lump sum will help with because these answers came from everyday women I spoke to who plan to put that money to good use. Madam Speaker, recently mothers have lost their babies at the Princess Margaret Hospital's maternity ward, and some has lost their lives. This must be urgently addressed. Currently, the Minister of Health and Wellness has confirmed that an investigation is underway, and I urge us all in this honorable place to do all that we can to address this wave of concern much sooner rather than later. We must ensure that every mother, no matter her economic status or means, has access to quality health care, especially during the vulnerable time of having a child. We must ensure better access to prenatal health care services. We must ensure while a mother is delivering with one foot in the grave and one foot out, she is surrounded by the best health care professionals who ensure quality care. Surround her with compassion and gives her and her baby a fighting chance. This COVID crisis has exposed our nation's areas of strength and weaknesses. We've surely seen the resilience of our people, but we've also witnessed the vulnerability of those among us. Our senior citizens, our children, our expecting mothers. We must do more to protect those most vulnerable among us. It has to be a new day for all of us, not just some of us. In protecting those most vulnerable among us, we must certainly be champions for inclusion. I believe when we speak of inclusion and accessibility, we must first start at the community level. While the government will seek to increase benefits to disabled people, we must look around at how to improve, build, and repair our communities to ensure we include everyone. This is exactly what the Seabreeze Inclusive Play Project will seek to do with the implementation of wheelchair access swings, wheelchair ramps, and inclusive playground equipment. I believe it starts at the community level where all should feel welcome, included, and safe. Madam Speaker, I truly believe that education gives any human a platform that can take them anywhere they dream to go. The pandemic has caused children to lack continuous access to teaching and learning in the classroom as they would normally have access to. In response to this, the government has planned a comprehensive program which is necessary to close the gap in access to education for children, youth, caused by the COVID pandemic. We will ensure that no child is left behind. While we address the current students, let's not forget the 2021 graduates, 12th grade students who were thrown into a whirlwind of chaos and uncertainty. It is important for us to specifically target this group of young Bahamians to ensure that they have an opportunity to recoup all that they have lost, that they are equipped with the resources to succeed in their future studies and employment, that they have a chance to gain the confidence to enter the real world after their world was turned upside down. We must not, we cannot forget them. It is my firm belief that a first-class education is the right of every child. Giving them access to quality education strengthens the fabric of our nation. Magnet schools and specialty institutions for science, technology, engineering, the visual and performing arts, math, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship is planned by this government to hone and expand the many talents and gifts of our children. Our government has a deep, abiding investment in the future of our young people. This pandemic has challenged the fortitude and will of young people, where a lack of confidence and mental wellness has become an issue. The government is expected to create national programs that address these issues, including mental health, self-confidence, identity, and excessive social media consumption. Madam Speaker, I remember my first job. It gave me an opportunity to explore my skills and talents. It was a foundation that helped me in many areas of my life. The National First Job Program by this government will allow young people between the ages of 16 to 25 to gain a one-year government-subsidized placement in a field of national priority, including new economies and trade. We must also remember the 35-year-old, the 45-year-old, the 55-year-old who now may have a better appreciation for the importance of education and higher learning, and give them opportunities as well for scholarship and work experience. Overall, Madam Speaker, learning does not stop at high school or university. We should all become lifelong learners. Henry Ford states, anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. Whether you are a working professional, a laborer, a construction worker, a housekeeper, you are one buck away from changing your life. And for those adults who would say to me, I cannot read, Make it your priority to learn to read. We live in an age where you can make money from anywhere in the world. You are not limited to the economy in which you live. Read books on how to start businesses without money. Invest in a laptop. It can be your biggest income earner. There are Bahamians who live in this country who make most of their money online and from international sources that have nothing to do with this economy. Whether you work in an office or clean at a hotel, decide that you will have multiple streams of income. Madam Speaker, this pandemic impacted all of our lives in ways that we could have never imagined. It is my prayer that the struggles of this crisis will produce a nation who is stronger than ever before, that this moment is a catalyst which is shaping and strengthening our national identity as a people. This new day government will provide the infrastructure and resources to facilitate growth and development. As citizens, we must ask ourselves, who do we want to become? How do we shape our lives now in the midst of a crisis? Our national identity is being shaped by this crisis, and I challenge every Bahamian to allow it to make you even more resourceful and more industrious. Madam Speaker, diamonds do not just appear. In order for a diamond to form in the Earth's crust, carbon must be present, and the heat must reach about 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. An intense pressure of approximately 725,000 pounds must be applied to the carbon. It is not until much later that the diamonds then rise to the Earth's surface to be mined. For many, that's exactly what this current climate has been. But what can come from us being under this enormous pressure is the beauty of our nation that we have never seen before. With the coming initiatives of this new day government and the ingenuity of our people, I challenge Bahamians to grab a hold of this period in time and use it as an opportunity to become one step closer to achieving everything you dreamt you could be. In the words of the great General Sun Tzu, victory comes from finding opportunities in problems. May God bless the residents of Seabreeze, and may God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Asmini? The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Fort Charlotte.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me first express my pride and my honor to be led in this honorable house by you. And I extend congratulations on this historic assumption as Speaker of this honorable house. And my cooperation and assistance is pledged. The Nobel laureate Derek Walcott describes the resilience and survival capacity of our people to renew, adapt, and transform despite natural and human condition. And I quote him, "The tribe in bondage learned to fortify itself by the cunning assimilation of the religion of the old world. What seemed to be surrender was redemption. What seemed the loss of tradition, redemption song. What seemed the loss of tradition was its renewal. What seemed to be the death of faith was its rebirth. I believe that the dislocation caused by Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic afford the Bahamas an opportunity for rebirth and to create a more sustainable development strategy. We can become the model of small island sustainability. We will have to build the capacity to identify and secure new sources of revenue because we know the consolidated fund of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas cannot fund all of the projects for the infrastructure of our country immediately. But we have the intellect and the capacity, Madam Speaker, to pursue bilateral, multilateral, foundation, and NGO grants on the basis of climate justice, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And in this regard, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Prime Minister is in Glasgow as we speak, pursuing such opportunities. My ministry does not plan to be Nassau or New Providence centric. And the Honorable Member for South Abaco very eloquently stated the urgency of the people in Abaco, in Grand Bahama, in Rugged Island, grappling with the devastation of Hurricane Maria and Hurricane Dorian. We will pursue the directive of the Blueprint for Change, that the vision for development of each island and its immediate benefits will determine how the projects in the Ministry of Works and Utility are prioritized. I rise giving thanks to God, my constituents in Fort Charlotte, for giving me this third non-consecutive term in this honorable house. I shall serve to build a sustainable and caring community. The constituents, you have shared your pain, fears, and hopes with me as I visited with you in your homes. I shall always be guided by your mandate to me to serve all and not just a privileged few. I thank my campaign coordinators and the 150 plus volunteers, all of whom campaign, including Mr. Miller, Mr. Leslie Miller, who campaigned with me, shared their time, their ideas, and their treasury. I stand here today on their shoulders to represent their dreams and their aspirations. Those are the persons and the voters who gave me this privilege to speak to our country today. We now have the privilege to implement the platform for Fort Charlotte, and the platform that we promise. We have one community center on Boyd Road. We promise to build a second community center in the greater Chippingham community. We promise to establish a community farm so that we can address the issue of food insecurity in Fort Charlotte but also generate a stream of revenue that can help to fund community outreach, to establish a community orchestra so that young people not only learn how to play an instrument, learn how to read music, and one day tell the story of our people through the compositions that they will compose. I also thank the Honorable Prime Minister, who has vested confidence in me to manage the affairs of our third largest ministry. I am pleased to work with my parliamentary colleague, the Honorable Barkus Roll, who will speak to the Water and Sewerage Corporation, the Straw Market, and the Beach and Parks Authority as we implement our Blueprint for Change, which became the social contract with the Bahamian people on September 16, 2001, and which is declared in the speech from the throne on the 16th of September, which commit us to a legislative agenda to rescue the economy, provide a compassionate social relief and security, reconstruct the public infrastructure in a sustainable and resilient manner, create Bahamian empowerment, better protect the natural resources of our Commonwealth, and create a sovereign wealth fund, revolutionize education, promote wellness, plan for each of our family islands, and incorporate the National Development Plan. These 8 objectives undergird the transformative agenda that we will pursue. Madam Speaker, my ministry has been charged with the responsibility for the construction, maintenance, and upkeep of public infrastructure, including buildings, roads, docks, bridges, and cemeteries. The Ministry of Works and Utilities constitute the largest architectural, engineering, quantity surveying, building inspector, project management, building maintenance group in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Over 98 technical professionals and 120 skilled artisans, carpenters, masons, electricians, welders. All of these staff members comprise the interdisciplinary team, also teams in Abaco, Eleuthera, Exuma, Grand Bahama, and Andros. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the technical, intellectual, and creative skills to build a sustainable public infrastructure is in this ministry. This is reflected. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, let me give some examples of the extraordinary work that these professionals do. And I want to give public recognition for the excellent creative work. And I want to recognize, for example, Mrs. Letheria Lightbourne, who led an interdisciplinary group to design the Southern Public Recreation Grounds. And in this design, captured the historic significance of this public space, where our nationalist leaders, our suffragists, mobilize our people to fight against the colonial administration for majority rule, for independence, and also to establish within that design recreation, wellness. Also, Tremaine Thompson and Kirk Bullitt, engineers, designed the rugged island, community center, and school in a sustainable context, powered by solar energy. What about Deputy Director Robert Musas, who designed the Little Abaco Bridge? What about the contractor Stephen Knowles, who designed the London Creek Bridge? Or Lambert Knowles, who designed the Stanyard Creek Bridge? Or Anton Taylor, who designed the Elbow Key Seawall and Dune restoration? And again, Deputy Director of Works Robert Musas designed the Smith Point Seawall that I had the opportunity to visit several weeks ago. I believe that the creative imagination, talent, and skill is in this ministry to carry out the mission of the Blueprint for Change and the speech from the throne. Madam Speaker, Hurricane Dorian forced the Bahamas to change its governance. And here, Madam Speaker, I want to publicly put on the record the honorable member for East Grand Bahama, when he served as the minister dealing with the digital economy, did something that really should be commended, along with P.S. Elise Delancey and the cabinet secretary. E-cabinet. I was in cabinet once before, but to now be a part of a cabinet with a digital platform has made an extraordinary difference. Hurricane and sea level rise will change how all of us do business, because it results in severe coastal erosion, flooding, saltwater intrusion into the small lenses of fresh underground water, and loss of the buffering effect of coastal habitats. The public infrastructure, such as roads, docks, schools, hospitals, airports, and habitats, are concentrated throughout our country in coastal areas and are therefore vulnerable to damage and loss. And we saw that, Madam Speaker, 2 weeks ago when I, along with the Director of Works and our technical team, visited Grand Bahama. And I want to thank the Minister for Grand Bahama, the Minister for the Honorable Member for West End and Bimini, and the members of the local government in Grand Bahama who accompanied us as we visited the infrastructure in Grand Bahama. First, the UB, the northern campus of the university. Then we went to Water Key, to Sweetings Key. Also, we visited during that period various settlements in East Grand Bahama, the infrastructure of clinics, of schools, of seawalls. Then the infrastructure in Freeport in terms of the Garnet Labarity Judicial Complex, the post office, and also into my home area of 8 Mile Rock, right? And visited the administrative complex, the magistrates' courts complex, the junior high school in Holmes's Rock, the police station in West End, and the need for a restored seawall along the West End coast. What we saw, Madam Speaker, as the Honorable Member for South Abaco challenged us, is the urgency of addressing these infrastructural needs in our family islands especially. One of the priorities of my ministry is rebuilding, Madam Speaker, the infrastructure, first and foremost, in Abaco, Grand Bahama, and Rugged Island. With our social partners, and we wish certainly to acknowledge the extraordinary work of the NGOs in these communities, demonstrated the extraordinary power of philanthropy, that these areas must receive our immediate priority. And it is noteworthy that as these communities are being rebuilt, in East Grand Bahama, we saw the solar lights along the road. In Rugged Island, that we will visit soon, you have a microgrid where that island will be primarily powered by solar energy. And the same thing in Grand Bahama and in Abaco. So as we move, Madam Speaker, this is an opportunity, not just a challenge, but a challenge that affords us the opportunity to build with much more sustainability and resilience. And we've seen the work that is already on the ground. We will build upon this work because the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is continuous. It's continuous. So we will broaden the sustainability, broaden the resilience, so that we have a model of small island sustainable national development in our country. Madam Speaker, the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium is an area of critical attention for my ministry because it will enable the Bahamas to diversify its tourism product through sports in paradise. And this particular facility is in urgent need of repair. It is not only a major sporting venue for both national and international events, but it also provides accommodation for the National Sports Authority, the Road Traffic Department, and the National Insurance Board. So there's a very extensive work which will include major structural, concrete repairs, removal of corrosion from steel roof members, replacement of the metal roof to the grandstand, replacement of the fire suppression system, plumbing repairs, and air conditioning repairs. Similarly, Madam Speaker, the Andre Rogers National Stadium is currently being constructed on a 24-acre site on the southeastern section of the Queen Elizabeth Sports Center. And this facility, I had the opportunity to tour last week. Over $25 million of Bahamian tax money is already invested on the ground. And an extraordinary interdisciplinary group of architects, engineers, quantity surveyors, and contractors are engaged in that work, which has been on go slow for the past number of years. But we are committed to advance sports in paradise and the diversification of the Bahamian tourism product to advance this project to completion. There are also a number of other current infrastructural projects, the Abaco Seawall and Carriageway, which is under rehabilitation. Also, there is the Government House restoration. And I had the opportunity to view the work being done at that particular site. And it's a very delicate work because it's over 100 years. And in the course of repair, certain defects were uncovered, and therefore additional work has to be done at that site. One of the conversations that I would like to share is that there is a conversation underway between the Ministry of Works, Tourism, and the Office of the Governor General to see how that site, where well over $20 million, about approximately, will be invested, can be used as a revenue-generating facility in terms of heritage visits by visitors and so on for a fee. Madam Speaker, there's also the Village Road project, where this particular street is going to be widened, multi-carriage way, and the work should commence shortly. There's also a major traffic control and management infrastructure being established at 80 intersections in New Providence, where cameras would be set to monitor the flow of traffic and enable the Ministry of Works to better facilitate the smooth flow of traffic in New Providence, collect data about the road usage, and ensure a more rational and efficient use of our streets for vehicular traffic. Also under design is a replacement of the glass window bridge. This is an extraordinary location in Eleuthera that can be developed as a heritage site and an attraction in and of itself. And a design is being developed to make this a wonder within this hemisphere. And consultations will commence shortly in Eleuthera with the design, and to get the stakeholders in Eleuthera to inform the design process before any decision is made. There's also, Madam Speaker, the replacement of bridges at Stafford Creek and Fresh Creek. Designs are being prepared. Presentations have been made to us to replace these two bridges. These are navigable creeks where boats travel beneath the bridge. And we will be traveling to Stafford Creek and Fresh Creek to meet with stakeholders and have the consultation on these projects. Another design project is the Gladstone Road Improvement Project. And here, Madam Speaker, the ministry is committed to incorporating in all of its major highways provision for bicycles, provision for pedestrian, so people can exercise and so on, as well as shoulders where persons who experience difficulty on the highway can pull off on the side in a very safe manner. And this design will take and incorporate those features, which as we travel to other parts of the world are regular feature, but we want to promote, the government is committed to promoting wellness, and that must be reflected in the public infrastructure. If someone wants to walk 3 or 4 miles and the highway is there, it's well lit, it should be the facilities to encourage people to bicycle and so on. Also, the extension of the Milo Butler Highway to Cowpen Road, which is corridor number 41. We have this particular design, which is underway. Madam Speaker, there are also a number of studies being done, some of which are in collaboration with the IDB with respect to traffic study at various locations of New Providence, road maintenance system and gap analysis study. And these studies, which will include a review of the building code. The Bahamas was one of the first jurisdictions in the Caribbean to develop a building code. I think it was 1973, but the most recent revision was in 2003 under Minister Bradley Roberts. With the monster hurricanes and the increased effects of global warming, there needs to be a further revision. And the government has undertaken a review of the building code. An international consultant is being identified and will begin that process so that our building code will provide more resilience. BPL, which is a critical part of our infrastructure in the provision of power, has we are currently reviewing BPL, and we're very. I just want to commend BPL for getting the power restored in Abaco. Prior to the hurricane, I will wrap up. Prior to the hurricane, there were about 9,000 customers. Since the hurricane, it's back on the grid. There are about 5,000 people who are back on the grid. To carry out the massive restructuring, there is a rate reduction bond to borrow by private placement, about $523 million. That matter came before the cabinet in June of this year. It was not approved, and we are currently reviewing it. And I would like to announce that the government will be engaging Deloitte & Touche to do a rapid assessment over the next 30 days of the rate reduction bond, the hedge strategy, and the operation of BPL so that the government can get a very quick study in order to make decisions about the strategy going forward. Madam Speaker, I conclude by thanking His Excellency for the speech from the throne, and also thanking the administrative, technical, maintenance, and clerical staff at the Ministry of Works, to express gratitude to the retiring directors of the boards under the Ministry of Works, and to welcome those persons who come forward in this extraordinary journey to serve the Bahamian public. I thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. As many, the Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for South Beach.
Madam Speaker, I am humbled as I stand in these hallowed halls of Parliament to represent the great people of South Beach. Over the course of my short life, I've learned not to take anything for granted, no matter how insignificant or how big it may be. I therefore take this opportunity seriously and soberly, and with the help of my Creator, commit to doing my very best for the people of the Bahamas in general, and for the people of South Beach in particular, many of whom have supported me in a myriad number of ways throughout this journey. I can hear the voice of my mentor, legendary basketball player and coach, Sharon the General Store, say to me, "There's only one way to do it, Bacchus, and that's the right way." Remembering that he did indeed go to St. Augustine's. Remembering that he never referenced to me this in athletic terms, but only in his encouragement for me for the game of life. Madam Speaker, I wish to extend a heartfelt thank you to my wife, Kimberly, my sons, Dionysus and Darius, for their patience with me over these last 2 years. Of course, I cannot forget to thank my mother, Mrs. Lola May Roll, my sister, Theus Roll Fountain, and of course, my 10 sister-in-laws, and I have to say that because they're watching. They have all been a source of strength to me. And of course, I would be remiss, Madam Speaker, if I do not thank the team of persons from South Beach that campaigned with me, and on whose shoulders today I stand. Had it not been for this team, this small but powerful team, the battle may not have been won. I count it a singular honor, Madam Speaker, to represent the people of South Beach, who have reposed their confidence in me, Madam Speaker, in a convincing manner at the polls. And I will do my utmost for this community as a whole. We hit the ground running in South Beach, Madam Speaker, with the opening of our constituency office a week after elections, and we open our doors from Monday to Saturday, and I personally meet with constituents on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 p.m. until the last constituent sees me. Given the current state of our affairs, the pressing concerns for many residents of South Beach is employment. I have assured them that our Blueprint for Change document is being actioned to provide employment opportunities in the shortest period of time. I have also reached out to my colleague, the Minister of State for Education, as virtual learning is another major concern for the constituents of South Beach. We are working assiduously to bring relief to the residents where possible, to ensure that as many of our children in South Beach and other constituencies are actively engaged in the virtual platform. Madam Speaker, the residents of South Beach yearn to return to in-person school. Madam Speaker, I am also grateful to the Right Honorable Prime Minister for the confidence reposed in me with the appointment as the Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works and Utilities. This ministry has been charged with responsibility for construction, maintenance, and upkeep of public infrastructure, including buildings, roads, docks, bridges, cemeteries, and it has in its portfolio several corporations and authorities. My minister, the Honorable Alfred Sayers, has addressed most of those matters just recently. However, he has charged me to focus my attention today on the Straw Market Authority and the Water and Sewage Corporation. Madam Speaker, as you are no doubt aware, the global pandemic resulted in the closure of the straw market in New Providence effective 20th of March 2020. At that time, the daily rent of $5 plus VAT rent was suspended indefinitely. The payment of annual registration fees for vendors and helpers for 2021 was also waived. All straw markets, that being the market at Fort Charlotte, Fort Fincastle, Cable Beach, Paradise Island, and of course the Bay Street market, have now been closed for a total of 19 months, which equates, Madam Speaker, to almost 500 Bahamians, to use a term that we have most recently heard, have been furloughed. During the 19-month closure, in an effort to provide vendor assistance, the Straw Market Authority has distributed food vouchers at $100 to all of the registered vendors in November of 2020. And then again in March of 2021, the authority has distributed $50 food vouchers to all of the 2020 registered vendors. Total vendor assistance for this initiative was $67,305. In addition to such incentives, the Straw Market Authority has completed a number of maintenance and repair projects during its closure. Some projects would include the repair to vendor stalls, the painting of the interior walls, termite extermination at all markets, and of course, the bathroom repairs at Cable Beach and Paradise Island markets. The Straw Market Authority, with the assistance of the Ministry of Works, has been able to provide a much-needed facelift to the Bay Street Straw Market with the painting of the building. The signage, however, is still forthcoming. The Straw Market Authority has no income. And since the closing of the straw market, the straw market financially survives solely on what they receive in the monthly government subvention. However, the previous administration in the budget 2021-2022 has decreased that budget by 10%. Madam Speaker, the Straw Market Authority is aware that the various straw and craft markets throughout the Bahamas have existed for many years and have been the source of financial assistance for many families as they purchase properties, construct homes, educated their children, and made a living for many, many Bahamians. The authority has engaged the services of Mr. Mark Munnings from Deloitte & Touche to conduct an operational review of the straw market for the period July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2021. This operational review will provide the Straw Market Authority with an assessment of the current operating procedure and advice as to the necessary operational changes that should be implemented. While we are anxious just as the straw vendors and the straw business persons and their families to have the market reopen, every effort to do so will be and must be done to ensure that there is a safe environment for vendors and visitors alike. In that regard, we have begun consultation with the necessary stakeholders, namely the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, the Department of Environmental Health, the Straw Market Authority, the Royal Bahamas Police Force Fire Protection Services, and more importantly, Madam Speaker, the vendors themselves. Officials from the Ministry of Works and Utilities recently conducted an assessment of the Bay Street straw market and met with other government officials and representatives from the Straw Market Vendors Association to chart the way forward with regards to the opening of the straw market. Some of the recommendations coming out of this initial meeting were staggered workdays, staggered seating to ensure proper social distancing, a mandatory completion of the Ministry of Tourism compliance training, and of course, mandatory first aid, CPR training by the Bahamas Red Cross. As we construct this new day for our craft and straw vendors, we do so by reconstructing with resiliency. Our refocus will be to deliver a product that promotes a national identity and true Bahamian culture. We look forward, Madam Speaker, to announcing a date very soon with regards to the opening of all markets. Madam Speaker, I now turn my attention to the Water and Sewage Corporation, for which I have responsible charge. During the past year, the corporation, like other agencies, was challenged by both the COVID-19 pandemic and the continued recovery and restructuring efforts in Abaco in the aftermath of Hurricane Dorian. We were also further constrained financially by the government's mandate to no disconnections from March 2020 to the present. Though commendable in nature, this decision has halted the cash flow of the Water and Sewage Corporation significantly. The incoming 2012 Christie administration meant an $83 million loan program with the Inter-American Development Bank in place that had been signed in December of 2011. The incoming 2017 Minister administration meant a $43 million loan program with the Caribbean Development Bank in place that had been signed in November of 2016. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, this administration has not met any such planning in place by the former administration, and therefore there's an urgent need for an updated business plan, inclusive of a capital development plan, to modernize the corporation, improve its financial and operational efficiencies, increase customer access to both potable water, and to reduce the corporation's increasing dependence on central government subsidization. One of the primary focuses of the Water and Sewage Corporation in New Providence is to increase the access to potable water in the over-the-hill New Providence communities. There's an urgent need for a larger collaborative project that involves the Ministry of Social Services and other stakeholders, as the challenge is not primarily a lack of infrastructure, Madam Speaker, but because there's piped potable water along the vast majority of all streets in New Providence in the over-the-hill communities. But rather, Madam Speaker, the challenge is a more socioeconomic one. The challenge, Madam Speaker, has to do with whether or not these homes can receive waters, as there are no indoor plumbing. Another key focus for the Water and Sewage Corporation, Madam Speaker, is to increase the percentage of homes connected to a central sewer system. In 2015, a New Providence sewage master plan was prepared for New Providence inclusive of an implementation plan up to the year 2030. In our briefing with the officials at the Water and Sewage Corporation, the minister and I found that a water and sewage waste treatment plant began construction, I think, if I remember correctly, in about 2015. This sewer waste treatment plant was designed, or the intent was to be around $10 million. Of course, cost overruns pushed the plant to somewhere around 16 million. 18? 18 million. Thank you. Of course, the plan today is about 95% completed. And as I understand it, Madam Speaker, nothing has been done with regards to the plant since 2017. Madam Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Long Island.
Madam Speaker, he's referencing the Gladstone Road wastewater treatment plant. He would note that the government, the previous government,
Member for Long Island.
had an arrangement.
Please, let me please correct you to not address the member as he, address him as honorable member for South Beach. Okay.
Madam Speaker, the honorable member for South Beach
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
is referencing a plant that began and ran into complications under the previous PLP administration. And what happened is the government from 2017 entered an undertaking, an arrangement with Bahama, the former F&M government. And that government, and that arrangement with Bahama, I believe, has included the Gladstone Road wastewater treatment plant in a heads of agreement with Bahama. Yeah. Yeah.
Continue, honorable member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with the increasing urbanization of New Providence, there's a critical need to increase our focus on the provision of proper sanitation for all residents. Latest estimations show that only 15 to 20% of homes are connected to a central sewer system. And sadly, too many of these sewer systems do not have proper treatment prior to disposal. It is the intent of this administration to have the Gladstone water waste treatment plant completed, and indeed completed in as short a time span as possible. With regards to non-revenue water, there exists a contract with the Water and Sewage Corporation and the Maya Bahamas Limited, which commenced in 2012. The corporation has substantially reduced the non-revenue water from 6.9 million imperial gallons per day to 2.5 million imperial gallons a day, which has resulted in a substantial savings for the corporations with the purchase of water from private water producing for distribution and sale to its New Providence customers. The project has enabled the corporation to increase its New Providence water sales approximately from 5.3 to 7.6 million imperial gallons daily to significantly improve our New Providence level of service from 2012 to date. The outgoing board, with no reference to the corporation's management, I am told, and no feasible alternative plan, has decided that the existing 10-year contract between the corporation and Maya Bahamas Limited, which expires in April 2022, would not be extended or renewed. Jesus Christ.
The chair recognizes Honorable Member for Long Island.
That is absolutely untrue. The outgoing board, as the member for South Beach asserts, did not advance such a position without speaking to management, number one. Number two, the entire idea was, in MEA's contract, their contract calls for them to train the Water and Sewage Corporation staff for a 2-year period, or the last 2 or 3 years, and the corporation was told, the management was told to identify the members of staff for that training. Those staff members were to enter the training program with MEA Bahamas, and then once that contract expires, they would then take over servicing that project.
Thank you, ma'am. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for South Beach.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is rather strange, as the same general manager to whom the member for Long Island had is the same general manager who would have provided me with this information. But I continue. This item will be a proprietary item for the corporation's new board and the management to ensure that the significant operational and financial gains as I started to say, this item, of course, will be a priority item for the corporation's new board and management to ensure that the significant operational and financial gains achieved during the period 2012 to 2020 are maintained, and that a feasible cost for non-revenue program is continued and in fact is expanded into the Family Islands as a means of further reducing the corporation's financial losses. Any future non-revenue water program should also include the introduction of an automatic meter reading or automatic meter intelligence program that will begin in New Providence and eventually expand into the Family Islands. And in this regard, Madam Speaker, the corporation has commenced discussions with the Bahamas Power and Light for the corporation to partner with BPL's introduction of their AMI system. It is hoped that this collaboration will continue. Such a program would have tremendous benefits for the corporations themselves and, of course, for the consumers of those corporations. Madam Speaker, as articulated in the speech from the throne, the government of the Bahamas, through the Water and Sewage Corporation, will pursue infrastructural needs for the entire country. And likewise, this includes water and sewage infrastructure throughout the length and breadth of the Bahamas. It also articulated in the speech from the throne that the Water and Sewage Corporation and the government of the Bahamas will undertake infrastructural updates throughout all of the islands of the Bahamas in an effort to create and support infrastructure for investment and portfolios. In support of these efforts, the corporation has already started the process of reviewing its capital works program to meet these aggressive goals. Management on the Family Islands have already been engaged, and the process of dispatching technical teams to each island has already commenced, Madam Speaker. At the end of this process, updated water and sewage strategic plans will be identified for each island. During this process, all stakeholders will be engaged, including local government, NGOs, private sector investors, and of course the homeowners, in an open and transparent manner. These initiatives will also include the introduction of an accelerated measures to introduce renewable energies, innovations to the water and sewage sector, the full climate starting of all water and sewage infrastructure throughout all islands, with a deliberate effort to introduce reduce reliance on fossil fuel energy and intentional implementation of renewable forms of energy where possible, in keeping with the government's mandate to increase renewable energy generation to 30% by the year 2030. Madam Speaker, in the Family Islands, the overall objective of the Water and Sewage Corporation is to improve access and reliability, improve water to the ground, improve quality of water to the Family Islands through the establishment of climate-resilient water supply systems. Madam Speaker, I must say, first of all, that the island of Long Island holds a very near and special place in my heart, as it is indeed the birthplace of my mother. And so, when I say this, I mean no ill. But during the last administration, works were heavily invested into Long Island for whatever reason. These will be reviewed to ensure that there is a fair and equitable distribution of capital works investments across all islands. And in doing so, sit down. And in doing so,
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Long Island.
Madam Speaker, now that's on parliamentary language on the part of the member for South Beach. I know this is his first speech, but that's on parliamentary. The reason why, firstly, Madam Speaker, works were not only concentrated in Long Island, every island of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas received waterworks. Everywhere that the Water and Sewage Corporation had oversight, with the exception of Grand Bahama, everywhere those islands had waterworks executed, and that's a fact. Yes, the chairman, the then executive chairman of the Water and Sewage Corporation, was the MP for Long Island, so obviously Long Island would have attention, but let's make no mistake, almost every island in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas was touched, and if the member wants to be candid and forthright, he would get the records from the corporation, which would speak clearly to the islands that were impacted.
The chair recognizes.
Addressed that multiple times, many times. Madam Speaker, many times. There was no skip.
Members,
We're approaching the 1 o'clock mark, 1 o'clock hour. In the schedule, I believe my leader of government business is on the same matter.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I just wish to extend the business beyond the 1 o'clock hour, and I move for the extension beyond 1 o'clock.
is there a seconder? It has been moved and seconded that the business of this House continue beyond the 1 p.m. hour. All those in favor shall remain seated. Those opposed will rise. The motion has been carried.
Madam Speaker. And in our family islands, however, will find that in the days to come, upgrades on all offices and facilities can be expected for consideration. Mangrove Key Andres, the birthplace of my father, will take place. We'll be very happy to know that we expect refurbishment on all the old water mains. North Andres Pumping Station can expect refurbishment as well. Exuma and the people of Exuma, will be happy to know that we expect to replace or the replacement of all the old water pipes, to establish a new operation and office compound, and to upgrade the wastewater plant to service the harbor and the fish fry. And of course, the extension of the water supply to Barry Tari, Forbes Hill, and the various other various communities. Madam Speaker, the people in Eleuthera will be happy to know that we anticipate an expansion of the water shortage facility in central Eleuthera And of course, the completion, no problem, we will finish it. No problem, we will finish it. This. And Madam Speaker, of course, the completion of a new pumping station at the naval base. Meguana and Crooked Island will not be left out, as we intend to install 2 new booster pumps to complement a new reverse osmosis plant. Madam Speaker, the days ahead for the Straw Market Authority and the Water and Sewage Corporation will be long. The days ahead, Madam Speaker, may even be arduous because there's much to do. But I assure you, Madam Speaker, and I assure the Bahamian community that the Minister and the many talented and committed staff members at the Ministry of Public Works and Utilities are up to the task. We have to be, because the Bahamian people expect real change, and they are depending on us. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair.
Madam Speaker, I just wish to, by way of clarification, the Honourable Member from Long Island responded in a point of order that the treatment plan on Gladstone Road was the subject of an MOU. I'm advised by the Honourable Attorney General that the government breached that MOU and has been in breach for the past 3 years. So the facility really was in the hands of the Water and Sewerage Corporation, and for whatever reason. Okay.
The Chair recognizes the member for West, Member Hammond.
If we give Long Island. Madam Speaker, we wish to now move for the suspension for the lunch break to reconvene at 3 o'clock. And at that time, Yamakra will be on the floor.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Yeah,
Is there a seconder? Thank you, Honourable Member for Carmichael. It has been moved and seconded that the business of this House be suspended until 3 p.m. As many are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The business of this House stands suspended until 3 p.m.
All right.